Hi, everyone, and welcome to our today's webinar, where we're going to be talking about streamlining document-centric processes with IDP, which refers to intelligent document processing. My name is Rosita, and I'm a product marketing manager here at Zenphi. Today, I'm going to be moderating this event. And our guest speaker is Vahid Taslimi, CEO at Zenphi. He will be joining us in a minute. But before that, I just wanted to quickly highlight a few important moments. So this session is going to be recorded and you will receive a recording within a couple of days after the webinar. So check out your inbox. And also we will have time for our Q&A session at the end of the webinar. But please feel free to post your questions within the webinar at the Q&A chat, which is located at the bottom of your screen, and I will be answering them as we go. And for those of you who are new to Zenphi, Zenphi is the leading no-code business process automation platform built specifically for Google Workspace users, and it empowers you to seamlessly automate and optimize all of the document-centric workflows, including invoice processing, purchase orders processing, medical record processing, and many more. Okay, and with that, let's give a warm welcome to Vahid, who will continue with the presentation.
Thanks, Rosita. Hello, everyone. As Rosita mentioned, my name is Vahid Taslimi, and I'm really excited to be here today to be walking you through our IDP offering and how Zenphi and other providers also mentioned this webinar can help you operate a lot more effectively and efficiently.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Let me quickly pass the slides over to you, Vahid.
Sure. So I'm going to turn off my camera to have the best real estate on the screen for everyone, and then we'll continue. Thank you, Rosita. So first thing I want to do, I want to walk you through what IDP is and what it is not. So some of you may already be familiar what IDP is, and so this would be a quick recap for you as well. So basically, IDP, or Intelligent Document Processing, the technology leverages, heavily leverages AI technologies like machine learning or natural language processing, NLP, to extract information from documents and present it to you in a meaningful manner. For example, you can give an invoice to IDP, and it will extract information like invoice ID, purchase order number, or the supplier name to you, irrespective of the invoice structure and irrespective of what they may be called. Like purchase order purchase order number may be called PO on one invoice structure, and the other one may be called purchase order. The other one may be called like reference number. So because the IDP is trained, and IDP is trained and uses machine learning, it would try its best to correlate this information and present them to you as in a meaningful manner. Now, the question is that why IDP suddenly is so important? I mean, one of the answers is that the technology is now at a stage that can be really used in a very efficient manner. But the actual answer is that documents still play a really important part in our day-to-day business operations. The technology has come along where systems normally integrate with each other and they send data to each other in electronic format. But realistically, documents are everywhere. We still use them heavily. We still use them to transfer information from one company to another company, to archive information, to collect information. If you look around yourself, how many times you have to deal with documents, You see it everywhere. I mean, there's a good reason for it. Don't get me wrong. Documents are they're really easy to use. Everyone understands them, and they don't really. You don't need to train people how to use documents. They just we've been using them for years and years and years. Now, RDP enables us to seamlessly extract this information from these documents in a meaningful manner without relying really heavily on humans. So basically taking over the labor-intensive tasks that the human have been doing. And it's also does it when done properly, it gives you more, improves your accuracy of the information extracted as well. So one of the common question we normally get is what's the difference between OCR and IDP? Basically, OCR is just one component of intelligent document processing. OCR enables you to extract information from a specific location on the document. So if you got a document which always the structure does not change, and always you know that the information you're interested in is going to fall into the certain pixel boundaries of the document, OCR is really you can use OCR as I mentioned, technology has been there, but with modern days documents coming in different formats, and they're very fluid as well. So that's when RDP comes in, which not only extracts the information, but leverages the AI algorithm to correlate those information and present them in a meaningful manner to us. We've talking about it, IDP normally you either create your model, like for example, if you have got a custom form in your organization, you want to create a AI model for it. So it would understand the information you're interested in, but also you can leverage one of the pre-trained model for like a standard documents like invoice. When I say standard, I mean the document is standard. The structure, of course, is different. We've got many forms of invoice structure, but if there's invoice, there's receipt, there's utility bill, there's identity documents, um, what do you call it, driver's license, or government forms, which are standards. You normally find a pre-trained um, AI model for these ones in majority of the systems, which you can leverage. You don't really have to do much on top of them. I mean, should you want to train them, you are able to do it, but you shouldn't have to do it. So now enough of talking. Let me show the whatever I was just talking about to you in action. So let's jump to the first part of our demo. I'm gonna switch my monitor. For the first part of the demo, as I mentioned, I'm gonna quickly show you the differences between OCR and IDP in a visual way. So hopefully it makes more sense. Then I've got two quick demos for you, which I'm gonna walk you through. For those of you who are new to Zenphi, this is how your Zenphi workspace would look like. You would create spaces to group together all the resources required to automate the process. For our demo, I've already gone ahead and created this space. And here you can go and create multiple things. Let's start by the AI models. These are the out-of-the-box AI models, and plus many more pre-trained AI models that Zenphi offers. So you can create AI model for a form parser, invoice parser, receipt parser, utility parser, identity document, all the W8 forms and stuff from the US government, and pretty much all the forms which are standard. We also have got OCR as well because it still has got its own use cases as well. Now, I have gone ahead and already created a few models, custom models. Let's start by looking at the invoice model. In here, if you notice, you can upload a sample model and specify the fields that you would like to extract. I've already specified the invoice date, and I'm going to specify the invoice ID as well. So I'm interested in extracting invoice ID, and I'm going to call it invoice number instead of invoice ID. So what it means once I publish this, any invoice type, invoice structure I give to this model, it will extract these two information. I mean, I can specify many more information here, but for the demo purpose, I'm just referring to these two. Now, if I want to show you in action, so if I go to a totally different invoice structure, which may have the invoice ID in different places, like invoice ID is here and it's called actually number, and invoice date is up there. Or even if I go to another invoice structure, it successfully identifies and extracts those information irrespective of the invoice structure, and it may be called different things, but because it's pre-trained based on probably billions of the dark invoices, it will try best to understand, and correlate the information, understand, this is invoice number and this is invoice date. Now, in contrast, I'm going to save this. Let me go to our OCR model. The OCR model, which was the traditional way of extracting data, in OCR model, if you interested to extract certain information, you just need to specify the exact location of that information. For example, here I specify this boundary, and I say anything falls in this boundary, extract it and call it invoice number, which is well and good if this is the only type of invoice I get and the information really does not move. So again, if I go and show you the similar invoice structure I showed you for the IDP version of this. So if I want to show you here, it still tries to extract date from here and invoice number from here, but it's empty. So whereas it should extract it from up here. And then again, if I go to the next invoice structure, you see the same problem. It wouldn't know. That's what where IDP comes handy. The other thing I want to highlight is that it's not just about the standard invoice or financial or utility documents. Your company can have its own standard document within your company. You can still put that to train a model, IDP model for it, put it through AI, and extract information. So these are custom forms for but a standard within your organization. Now, in this case, for example, this is a committee nomination form. It's not a standard form globally or even in any country or city by any means, but there's a company, fictitious company, which uses this one. In our case, it's fictitious, of course, for demo purpose. But here I can go and specify it. If you put it to IDP, it's smart. It is smart enough to correlate this information. And here I can go and specify, this field. I'm going to call it as full name. Full name, and anything falls, whether it's anything falls in front of this, below this. I mean, it does its best to correlate the information and return it as a full name. So it doesn't really have to be exact boundary. It can be here, it can be down there. And the same thing for address. You can go and say, I want this field as an address. I can extract those information as well. So this is how you create custom AI trained model for the forms that you've got. If you put any form of this type through here, it's going to extract the information. And you could do OCR on this only if this information would exactly fall into the specific pixel perfect boundaries that you may specify. Well, hopefully that gives you some idea, visualize the differences between IDP and OCR, traditional OCR. Now it's time for a quick demo. For the first demo, I'm going to walk you through something called invoice processing. In Zenphi, to automate a process, you normally create a flow. Normally, flows are one-to-one matching to a process. In our case, I want to create a flow which I have created a flow which monitors a folder on Google Drive where our vendor is going to upload their invoices there, whether it's manual or through their system. They can automatically upload the invoices there. And as soon as the invoice gets uploaded there, I want to extract information from those invoices and put the line item and view of the invoice data into a Google Sheet, which I have already created. This is a Google Sheet I've created. These are the line items I want to populate.
And these are the invoice information I would like to populate. Now, if you're new again to Zenphi, this is how your Zenphi flow designer would look like. It goes from the top to bottom, and it's like a flowchart. You're creating a flowchart. The very first thing you see is the trigger, what we call a trigger. This is the event which starts the process. Like can be, in our case, as I said, for the demo purpose, it's when a file is uploaded to Google Drive folder. But it can be configured to monitor an email inbox when an email arrives. It can be a form getting submitted. It can be HTTP stuff, so you can HTTP API, so you can integrate dynamically systems together. There are many other events that can start. So when you started, these boxes you see here, these are what we call actions. These are the building blocks, the Lego blocks of your process. Like Lego blocks, you stack them up to automate your process. You've got quite a few of them on the left-hand side. For example, artificial intelligence. I have dragged and dropped one of this here to extract invoice information. And once you drag and drop it, you start configuring the action. In this case, for the first action, so this is the action which uses a standard invoice and expense model to extract information. The only thing it needs is that it's asking, so which file do you want me to extract information from? And I can select this by clicking on this little icon. I can select the information I want. Zenphi automatically suggests the best possible selection. But just to give you an idea, I can go ahead and go and get the information, reference the dynamic information from the trigger or previous action. So, and then actions normally have output. And this is the output of this action. So it's going to give us all the information if they are there on the invoice, and then the line items as well. So next action I'm here, what I'm doing, I'm going ahead and use an action from Google Sheet to add it to add a new row to Google Sheet. So I've already gone ahead and configured the actions. And here I'm dynamically referencing information from the output of the AI action. So all the information can be populated dynamically or statically, whatever way works for your needs. Okay, once I've done that, then I go and because I may have one or many line items, I loop through each one line item, and for each one of them, add a new line to the other tab, to this line item tab. And finally, once it's done, I move the file to another folder. In our case, I just have created a folder called process documents. Now let's get started. Let's show you in action. But before that, I want to emphasize, just for the demo purpose, I'm using Google Sheet here or here. So you can add it to your financial system, whether it's QuickBooks, Xero, or whatever you're using. You can add it to Salesforce, add the information to Salesforce. You can even go ahead and use the information you extracted to generate a document. Imagine you want to generate a contract based on the information. You just drag and drop this action and create a generate document. You can also send it for human approval, human review, which I'm going to show you in the next demo. Okay, now let's get started. Let's start by uploading a file to this folder. This is the invoice I want to upload. So should be getting all this information in there. Let's upload the invoice. So as soon as the invoice gets uploaded, so it's going to kick off a Zenphi process in the background. An instance of this flow gets started and goes from the top to bottom. Now let's have a look at it has already done it. So it has already extracted the information and added to here, total amount, PO, and everything else. And it is successfully extracting the quantity the line items and adding it to this Google Sheet. Well, so just like that, you can upload many invoices, and as I said, add into Google Sheet, export to CSV, or send it to any other system that works for you. That was for our first demo. As you can see, you can easily automate such a labor-intensive manual work on autopilot and put it on autopilot. with just a few drag and drops with Zenphi. Now, for the second demo, it's just another standard use case. It's just like we want to enable our employees to submit their expenses, but instead of them having to fill out all the details of the expense, what I want to do, actually, let me go here, I quickly show you. I want them to submit their expense to a form, and I'm going to look up their manager, the person who submitted. I'll look up the person's manager, assign a task to manager, extract information from the expense receipt which was submitted, assign a task to the manager to review it, and once approved, send it to finance for processing. So I'm using another user to submit the form. This is a form of credit. Let's see. Maybe I submit this invoice. Yeah, that looks okay. I select the file. Say team launch. This is a Zenphi form. You can easily design this one. You can use Google form, Typeform, any other forms that you may be using. But for demo purpose, I've used the Zenphi form. As soon as I press submit, what's going to happen behind the scenes is going to start a new instance of this flow. And if I show you the form designer, this is a form designer. I can add many other fields if required here. I just kept it simple. As I said, this is another action which goes and looks up the manager of the person who submitted it, and then it goes and puts the expense which was submitted to the AI, extract information, and sends a task to the manager to review. So I've configured this user to be the manager of call. As you can see, the task has already come through. This call has already submitted the expense. This is a copy of the expense if you want, but the important aspect of it is that this form that I need to review gets pre-populated with the information extracted from the invoice. Not only the summary fields or receipt ID, but also the line items. So if you look at it, let's go and have a look at the invoice. This is the first line item, $22, and second one was $24. So I'm gonna say this was for entertainment. Go to the next line item, $24, smash burger, all good. Gonna go there and say, yep, looks good, approve and submit. And now what's gonna happen? Going back to the flow, it's gonna come down here, check if it's approved, then it's gonna assign a task to account payable to process the payment. But then again, you can also automate the payment processing or talking to other financial systems. But what I wanted to highlight is that how easy it is to design to pre-populate the information extracted from the invoice and send it to or a financial document and send it for to review to someone's manager or could be head of department, etc. Okay, hopefully you find the first part of our demo useful. Now let's go to the second part of our slides, and then we'll have another demo for you as well. Okay, now that we know what IDP is and how it can help you in your organization or document-centric processes, it's time to have a look at some of the IDP providers. So you've got a range of IDP providers out there, and it's getting more and more popular because I just mentioned the technology is evolving, is there in a good stage, and also people are understanding the problems that IDP can resolve. On one hand, you've got providers like infrastructure providers like Google Cloud or Microsoft or Amazon. All of them pretty much have got a service related to IDP, and they've got many services related to IDP, but and which are pretty good. But then the challenge there for you to use them, you could use those services, but you need to hire developers to write code and to integrate with those services and do the rest of your process for you as well. So you need developers to do that. On the other hand, you've got other providers like Harper Science, Rossum, Nanonets, and Hotdocs. These are IDP providers. So basically, you can upload your invoices to their systems, or one way or another send your invoices to their systems, and then they can output the result to another system or a specific document, CSV, etc. But on the other hand, you've got companies like UiPath and Zenphi, like us. We are who are not IDP providers necessarily only. They're they come we are automation companies, workflow or process automation companies. And the way we look at the board, we see IDP is one part of the process that you're automating. So we appreciate that many people use documents and document-centric processes and to enable them to operate even more efficiently as part of their process automation. We provide IDP capabilities as well. So irrespective of the which way you're going with your where you are with your IDP journey, I've got a few tips and tricks for you for successful implementations. So first thing, I want you to remember that it's a journey towards a new way of working. So basically, you may have been processing invoices the way that you're doing it today for the last 5 years or 10 years or even more. You've got a human to do it, and you've got a proper tested way of working. But it's labor intensive. Now you want to digitize it like everything else. You need to appreciate it's a journey. And the best way to start a journey is to start small. So you find your ways around what's the best use of the technology, where to push it 100%, where to take it as slow as one step at a time. At the end of the day, you want to bring everyone across the journey. So start small. And when you want to start small, the best way to start small is that to identify a low-hanging fruit and start with those ones. So basically, start identify a process, a part of the process which is small in size, and it's going to have the most return on the investment for you, and tackle that first. The one that really doesn't impact many people, as in like you don't have to bring many people along the journey, do the change management for many people, but at the same time, it's got the highest impact. I mean, it may be a challenge to find one, but if you look for it, you find something. You may have to compromise on one way or another, but that's the best way of getting started. The third one I've got for you is always have a zoomed out view of the process you want to automate. So if you go and say, I want to use IDP, which is good, which is a great start actually, but always just zoom out a bit, try to understand what happens before you apply IDP to a document and what needs to happen after you apply that IDP to document. So basically, what are you going to do with all the information you have extracted from the document? Or before extracting the information from the document, are there many other steps that needs to happen? Because that plays, I mean, you may just start with the IDP, but you always want to work your journey towards automating the process end to end. So always have a zoomed out view, whether you automate everything now or all the steps now or later, but have a zoomed out view so it gives you, enables you to make better educated decisions when choosing, making decisions basically. And the fourth one, which is for me is the most important one, is always prepare for handling exception cases. AI has come a long way, but still cannot get it 100%. So you cannot put this 100% on autopilot, at least at the beginning. You need to start handling exception cases. By exception cases, I mean, in context of invoice processing, for example, you may have a vendor which calls purchase order reference number, or doesn't call it anything, just puts it somewhere on the invoice. So you may want to put be prepared to handle these exception cases. And to handle those exception cases, you normally need to create logic in the system that you're using. So you want to choose a no-code system, because with that you will be able to handle these exceptions. You don't have to go back to IT or a developer to update the logic or write more logic for you to do it. you as the person who owns and runs the process be able to quickly update the system and handle it. And you want to, your system grows. You're starting small, but it grows with you. And as always, with anything else, monitor and optimize. It's a new way of learning, a new way of working, and you'll be learning a lot of things, and you will learn to monitor and optimize your process. So, as I mentioned, the way we look at the word, Zenphi is a business process automation platform, and we believe IDP is just one part of your automation. As I mentioned, steps needs to happen before extracting information from the document and after extracting information from the document. And at some point you need to bring in a human into the loop to review the information or handle those exception cases. So the whole thing is a business process automation, and Zenphi enables you to automate these processes, also including out of the box IDP capability. So you don't have to really buy multiple systems. Everything you need to automate your processes end to end is available to you out of the box with Zenphi. And now about the pitfalls that you want to watch out for. So basically, the major thing is around handling exception cases. So you need to mentally prepare yourself, or not both mentally and also logistically prepare yourself. But AI-based systems and IDP, including IDP, can make and will make mistakes. They cannot get everything right. Some of it is their fault. Some of it, honestly, is us humans' fault. The way we produce our documents, it's even sometimes hard or difficult for a human to understand what's what. And so just be prepared for that. So you want to be prepared to handle those mistakes. And also remember that invoices or documents will come in different formats. PDF, scan, different languages, even different structure. You want to be able to prepare to handle those ones as well. And also they may come at the scalability is another thing you want to be prepared for, because depending on how many invoices you get, you may want to process one invoice per day or hundred thousands of invoices per day. The system you choose should be able to handle those ones without really creating headache or overhead for you. And one more time, processing exceptions is something that you start with IDP, and probably you read online and all, you can put it on autopilot on 99-point-something% accuracy. But accuracy always, they normally refer to the accuracy of extracting the correct information once identified. But the problem is that it wouldn't get identified. The information gets extracted, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 get extracted, but it's called reference number. So what's reference number in context of vendor A? Is it PO number or is it customer number? Those are the exception cases you want the system you choose to be able to handle and help you put on autopilot. So that's the most important things based on my experience you want to be ready for and plan for. And with that, let's jump to our the second part of our demo. Once again, I'm going to switch the screen, and let's do it. As I've been mentioning, it's really important to have a zoomed out view of your process. What happens before executing the IDP? The steps needs to happen there, and the steps need to happen after executing the IDP and you've extracted the data from your document. It's really important to have those in mind. Getting started with IDP is fairly easy and quick. However, if you really don't have a zoomed out view, over the even short to mid-term period, you end up creating more work for you and more frustration. So you can save yourself a lot of time by just zooming out a bit. Consider those those aspects as well. Now, but for this demo, second part, what I'll be focusing on is on the exception handling part of the pitfalls you want to avoid, or you want to have in mind that you're gonna face exceptions while handling and executing your IDP. Now let's show you in action. I'm gonna continue on the flow which we created for invoice processing, but this time I'm gonna upload another invoice. I'm gonna upload this other invoice, not this one, but this other invoice from the food company. The structure is a bit different, the information are scattered and quantity is coming differently, but let's upload it and see what happens. As soon as I upload the file, an instance of our Zenphi flow should get started, which is going to extract the information from the invoice, add it to here. This is information we had from the previous invoice. And then, as you can see, the information for the new invoice got added here. And the line items are going to be get added here as well. So these are for the invoice 573. Yep, 573. Now, what I want to highlight here is that if you can see in the quantity field, for some reason, AI is retrieving the unit along with the quantity as well. So we definitely can go ahead and over the time train the AI to do a lot better, but it takes time and you don't want to stop your process, your operation. So this is another case you want to handle the exceptions. Now let me show you how you can do this in Zenphi. Let me just clear up this. So basically what I want to do, I want to make sure quantity, and when I'm adding it to this Google Sheet, quantity is only a numeric value. Anything which is non-numeric, I want to remove it from there. Okay, I'm just going to clean up the sheet. Go back to Zenphi. So all I need to do here, right before adding the line item to the sheet, I want to remove all the non-numeric values from the quantity field. So basically, it's a bit of data cleaning. I use another action which calls replace. So remove non-numeric from quantity. And say the configuration is like this. I'm going and saying, the current item, go and get the quantity and use this regex pattern. I mean, there are various ways of doing it. I just use this one for demo purpose, and I got the regex. The regex itself is a courtesy of ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT to give me a regex to remove non-numeric values. Say anything between 0 to 9. If it's not there, remove it, replace it with nothing, and use regex. And now that I've done that, I come here and update the add to row action. Say instead of adding the quantity, the original value of quantity from here, go and get it from here because I've done a bit of cleaning up. That's all I need to do. I'm going to publish and go back here. Let me upload the same invoice one more time. Same invoice. So the invoice is uploaded. As I mentioned, an instance of Zenphi should get kicked off, and soon we should see the value, the invoice value get added here. Okay, so the invoice information got added. If I go to the line items, we should see the line items are getting added, and this time they don't have the units of the, attached to the quantity. We have removed it. So as you can see, that's quite easy. And whatever system you choose, you want to make sure doing this kind of data cleaning up is as easy and straightforward as possible. Okay, again, I'm gonna delete the law. Let me clean up here because I'm running a few more samples. The other thing I want to do, as you can see, I've added a new column here called customer number. I want to be able to populate this information as well, extract the information. But we know that it may come in different format. A standard format is going to be either customer number or account ID. Now let's see this in action. So this is what I'm going to show you. I'm going to upload actually quite a few invoices together. I'm going to upload all of these together. And that's yet another thing you want to keep in mind when choosing a system. You want to choose a system which supports concurrency, as in like handling multiple processing of multiple documents at the same time, so you don't end up having to queue up uh, having a backlog of documents to be processed. With Zenphi, everything scales horizontally, and as soon as you whether you add one invoice or send one or 100 or 1,000 or tens of thousand invoices to Zenphi, they all get processed pretty much more or less at the same time, because Zenphi scales horizontally. As you can see, the information is being added still, which is pretty handy. But as I mentioned, what I want to focus on is this field. As you can see, we only have populated for a few of the invoices. And there's a reason for it, because not all of them are coming in a standard format. And some of them that won't have it either. So if I go here, for example, this one has got customer ID. This one does not have any customer ID or account number. This one has got customer ID, but for whatever reason, they use this reference value, CUSD, for this specific invoice. Also, the customer ID is coming at the first line of the bill to address. Now, so for our demo, I'll be focusing on handling these two cases, because they're very good examples. The rest of them are going to be pretty easy and straightforward. Okay, let's go back to Zenphi and see how we can handle it. I'm going to clean this one up. Let's come here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to move this action up here and put a terminate, because for the sake of demo, I'm not going to go through each line, adding each line items. I'm just keen to show you the summary bit and handling the accounts, customer ID and account number. Okay. So what we want to do, we want to say here, once you extract the information from the invoice, I could potentially get two things. I could get either account number or customer number. So what I'm going to say is that if any one of those two are present, go and you choose them. Otherwise, so we're going to do a special handling for each and every one of the invoices. There, again, in Zenphi, there are different ways of doing it. I like to use a switch. Switch for account or say customer number. So what happens with switch? You have got different branches, start from left to right. So for each branch, you can set a condition. If the condition is met, goes to this branch, follows through. If it doesn't, goes to the next branch, tries to match their conditions. If it matches, follows through. Otherwise, keeps going to the right. So first condition is for me is a customer number exists. Give it a name and I'll build a condition. So go and check here if the customer number is not null, I'll reverse it like this. Go to that branch. Second branch on account ID exists. And I come here and say if account number actually is null or is not null, basically go to that branch. And then I'm going to create a few more branches as well. Here I'm going to go and say, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go and say, I know the invoice is coming from the food company. They call this, I should use this value as a customer number. So I'm going to special handle invoices coming from the food company. So if I say the food company, let's configure this pen, because the the action extract the vendor name. So vendor name contains the food company. Go to that branch, and the next one, it was called Baker's Delight. I want to special handle this as well. Baker's Delight. Yeah, do the same. I say if the vendor is, when the name, just to keep it simple, I say contains Baker's. Go to that branch, and then I'll come to the last branch in a bit. So we've got branches. Let's just start special handling there. Now, remember, I want to say if it's a customer number is there, use customer ID. If account ID is there, use account ID. Quick thing to do, create a variable here called customer ID. This is like an empty bucket where it can add values to it and or update the values and use the values. Okay, I say if you go here, what I want to do, I want to add the customer number that I got from the previous action. Not account ID, sorry. Here, customer number, and add it to the bucket. If you come here, otherwise if you find yourself in this branch, go and add the account number to the bucket. However, if you find yourself in the food company branch, let's go up one, this branch, as I mentioned. So the AI wouldn't find it as a standard field. However, the AI is smart enough to do some sort of form processing on top of the standard inverse processing, and is smart enough to find the correlation between the two. So it will return a field called cost with this value for us. And the way we can handle that in Zenphi is, I'll show you actually first, let me show you here. It will come as part of, give us a list of other fields. It's got a name and value. In our case, the name is going to be CUSD and the value is going to be whatever is mentioned in the invoice. So I use an action here called query collection, which we can go and filter a list of values or collection of values. So here, quickly down, enable filtering, yes. Go and get me the value where name is CUSD. Okay, and only get me the first one because I know there's only one available. Let me do this, copy, paste. This time, I'm going to say, now go add the value of the previous action to the bucket. And finally, for the Baker's Delight, let's go back here. This is the Baker's Delight. So we want to get to the receiver address or bill to address and only get the first line of the address. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the different ways of doing it. You can strip down everything after the first line, but I like to do it like this. And I'm going to split receiver address. Let's go get the receiver address first. Receiver address. And say split it by /n. Yes, use regex. And once I split it, it's going to give me a collection or a list of items. Because there are 2 or 3 lines, it gives me 2 or 3 items. I'm only keen to get the first item because I know it's the first line. Query collection, and go and get this. I'm not going to filter it. I'm just going to get the first line, and let's do one more thing. Let's do the trim. It may come back with spaces. I'm going to remove any spaces that may be there from both sides of it. So remember, trim the output of this action. This action actually uses the output of the previous action split and get the first item. And finally, I'm going to do the same. Copy, paste. And this time, for the Baker's Delight, go and use the output of the trim action, which is removing the spaces. Okay, one more time, just to recap, it starts from here. If it meets the requirements, a condition goes in there, otherwise in there, otherwise in there, or here. And if it ever finds itself in this branch, that means there's a case that we have not handled. This is where you want to add something called an assigned task, or a task that you saw in the previous demo number one, and bring in human to the loop to review what's happening and potentially update the logic so it doesn't have, if you receive invoices from the same vendor, it doesn't have to come back to you anymore. I'm going to do a quick terminate here for demo purpose. There's one last thing I want to do. When I'm adding the row to the invoice, instead of using the account number, I want to use the whatever value I put in that bucket in the variable and run it. Publish. And let's do another test. I'm gonna clean this one, use one up here. Go and file upload. First, I'm gonna upload the two invoices that we just special handled. Oh, actually, let me upload all of them. I'm gonna upload all of them so we can see them in action. Okay, let's head back to our. We should see majority of the invoices now should have this value populated. The ones which are not getting populated are the ones we either didn't handle or they did not have. They don't have any value for customer ID or account number. So I guess this, this is for Baker's Delight. As you can see, it has extracted the value 22068 from here, 22086, sorry. And this one is the other one which did a special handling, the food company, which was coming, if I go up here, which is coming from there. So extremely important to remember that you want to be able to handle these exceptions. I can almost guarantee that you're going to face with situations where AI is not going to be able to extract the information, or you have to do special handling. It's just that you need to be prepared for it, plan for it, and choose a system which supports you along the way and can grow with you. Hopefully that gives you some idea. That's if you've taken anything away from this webinar from me, that's what it is. Exception handling the exceptions. AI has come a long way, but you still need to put in the effort to handle those exceptions. And you can be a bit of just a small investment. I'm talking about like minutes of investment, not even hours of handling those exception cases. You can try to put the whole process as much as possible on autopilot. Well, thank you very much for the demo. I guess we're towards the end of the webinar. We head back to the slide, and I guess we have time for to take some questions, hopefully. Back to you, Rosita.
Okay, thank you so much, Vahid, for this presentation. And yes, please feel free to post your questions to the Q&A chat, and I'll remind you that it is located at the bottom of your screen. And while you do that, I will quickly check if we have anything that is waiting for us already. All right, so we have the first question. Are there any limitations on the number of invoices we can process per month? How reliable and scalable is the system?
Sure. So we don't enforce any limitation on the number of invoices that you can process or number of flows you can run. Depends on the tier you're at, of course. You can scale. But in terms of the scalability and reliability of the system, so Zenphi is a business process automation platform. For us, when we built Zenphi, going back to our history and the experience we've had with the business process automation, we knew that security and reliability are the top two most important things for business process automations. Like performance is important. It's not like we ignore performance, but if it comes to a trade-off between reliability, performance, always go with reliability. As I mentioned, it's not just about IDP. For us, the way we look at it, every flow that runs is your business operation running, and we want your business operation to be, our customers' business operation to be as reliable as possible. Don't get me wrong, in the cloud world, we know the interruptions happen. Some of this is not in our control. Could be a hurricane hitting a data center. That could happen. Also, the chances are pretty slim. What the way the system is built, first of all, we avoid those interruptions, and in case they happen, we make sure the successful recovery from where the things stop working, so your business process continues processing reliably. So absolutely, and in terms of the scale, there's no theoretical limit of how many invoices or flows we can run. It's theoretical as in like we're running in the cloud. Zenphi scales, as I talked about and showed you briefly in a demo. It scales horizontally. That means you can upload 1 invoices, 10 invoices, 10,000 invoices at the same time, and we scale accordingly and execute them at the same time, more or less.
Yeah, thank you so much.
However, there's one thing, sorry, Rosita, there's one thing I want to remind everyone on that front. So normally, the only thing I want to remind everyone is that normally business processes, you interact with other systems, could be your CRM system, could be your database. When you're talking about if you're looking at using Zenphi at a really large scale, you have to put those ones into considerations because those other systems may have their own limitations. They may be able to only process n number of requests per minute or per second. So that's another thing you have to keep in mind.
Yeah, definitely true. Okay, thank you so much for the question and for the answer. And let's go to the next one. So how Zenphi's pricing works? Is IDP included in all plans?
That's a very good question. So you can use IDP as part of our professional plans. So when you subscribe to our professional plan, and the way it works, you buy credits with Zenphi, $100, $200, or $10,000 credit. And every time an IDP gets executed, and an IDP action gets executed, it consumes those credits. If you want to know how much it costs, if I remember correctly, it's 5 cents for invoice processing. Receipt processing is 5 cents per page, and then the form processing and the other ones have got their own pricing. If you go to our website, you can see the pricing. I mean, you have to scroll down and click on the add-on pricing. There you can see the pricing. So you buy the packs, you buy credits, and then every time you execute any of the AI actions, it consumes the credit.
Yeah, thank you. And I have just sent the link to this pricing page to the chat. So check this out. And we have another question. What document types Zenphi supports?
So Zenphi IDP, I believe the audience mean. We support PDF and the popular image documents, so it can be a scanned image of a receipt as well. So yeah, PDF and image files, basically, we support them.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and the next question is pretty interesting one. Can we process a document that includes multiple invoices? So I guess that's a pretty common scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, absolutely. You can definitely do that. So there are ways to do it within Zenphi enables you to do it with AI to understand it, but also we've got PDF actions available out of the box. So you can natively split PDF documents and get every one page as a document, or merge PDF documents. So they're all available, and that's a good thing about Zenphi. They're all available out of the box with one drag and drop. You can split the PDF document that you've received, and or extract certain pages from the document, and then put only those pages through the AI action.
Okay, yeah, that is great. We also have a few questions from our registration. So if you can cover that as well, that would be great.
Sure.
So one of the question is, I'm interested to become a partner. Is there a program that I can study?
Yeah, absolutely. We love having partners to help our customers be even more successful. If you head to our website, there's a link on our website saying for partners, you find all the information you need on the website, and you can also submit a form to apply to become a partner. Someone from Zenphi will be in touch and will help you out.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and one more question from the registration. Will your product integrate with Oracle Cloud?
Um, That's a good question. I mean, it really depends on which service of Oracle Cloud you want to integrate with. The short answer is yes, if the service has got APIs, it doesn't matter whichever Oracle Cloud service it is, if there's got HTTP APIs, you can interact with it both ways through Zenphi. So they can communicate with Zenphi, and Zenphi can communicate with the service as well. But I'd be really keen to know which service you're referring to. So if you can send us a bit more. Was this question from the registration form,
Yes.
Rosita? Okay, so if you can send us a bit more information about the service you have in mind, I hope we can help you and give you a bit more details around it as well.
Yeah, okay, perfect. I can see some more questions coming into the chat. So that is great. Thank you for being so active. But unfortunately, our webinar time has finished. So yeah, thank you so much, Wahid, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. So if you have any further questions, please feel free to contact us through success@zenphi.com, and we will be super happy to help out. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the webinar. And one last thing, at the end screen, you will see a short survey. So if you will be able to fill that out, that would be perfect. And it will help us to create more great webinars for you in the future. Okay, thank you and bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.